Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, YouTube. Today we are again reading out of the Bible. I am using a translation called the Scriptures. If you don't have this version and you'd like to read along word for word, there is a link in the description for an ebook version. Otherwise, feel free to use whatever Bible you have, but please read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. So grab your coffee, grab your Bible, and let's read. Today we are starting in Deuteronomy, chapter 28. And it shall be, if you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard to do all his commands which I command you today, that Yahweh your Elohim shall set you high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, if you obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Blessed are you in the city, and blessed are you in the field. Blessed is the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your livestock, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Blessed is your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed are you when you come in, and blessed are you when you go out. Yahweh causes your enemies who rise against you to be smitten before your face. They came out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh commands the blessings on you in your storehouses and in all to which you set your hand, and shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Yahweh does establish you as a set-apart people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you guard the commands of Yahweh your Elohim and walk in his ways. And all peoples of the earth shall see that the name of Yahweh is called upon you, and they shall be afraid of you. And Yahweh shall make you to have plenty of what is good in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, and in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give you. Yahweh opens to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall lend to many nations, but you do not borrow. And Yahweh shall make you the head and not the tail, and you shall be only on top and not be beneath, if you obey the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you today to guard to do. And do not turn aside from any of the words which I am commanding you today, right or left, to go after other mighty ones to serve them. And it shall be, if you do not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard to do all his commands and his laws which I command you today, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed are you in the city, and cursed are you in the field. Cursed is your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed is the fruit of your body and the fruit of your land, the increase of your cattle and the offspring of your flocks. Cursed are you when you come in, and cursed are you when you go out. Yahweh sends on you the curse, the confusion, and the rebuke in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the evil of your doings by which you have forsaken me. Yahweh makes the plague cling to you until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. Yahweh strikes you with wasting disease, and with inflammation, and with burning, and with extreme heat, and with the sword, and with blight, and with mildew. And they shall pursue you until you perish. And your heavens which are over your head shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you iron. Yahweh makes the rain for your land powder and dust. From the heavens it comes down on you until you are destroyed. Yahweh causes you to be defeated before your enemies. You go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and you shall become a horror to all the reigns of the earth. And your carcasses shall be food for all the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the earth, with no one to frighten them away. Yahweh shall strike you with the boils of Mitzrayim, with tumors, with the scab, and with the itch, from which you are unable to be healed. Yahweh shall strike you with madness and blindness and bewilderment of heart, and you shall be groping at noon, as a blind man gropes in darkness, and not prosper in your ways. And you shall be only oppressed and plundered all the days, with no one to save you. You become engaged to a wife, but another man does lie with her. You build a house, but do not dwell in it. You plant a vineyard, but do not use its fruit. Your ox is slaughtered before your eyes, but you do not eat of it. Your donkey is violently taken from before you, and it is not given back to you. Your sheep are given to your enemies, with no one to save them. Your sons and your daughters are given to another people, and your eyes look and fail for them all day long, and your hand powerless. A people whom you have not known eat the fruit of your land and all your labors, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed all the days. And you shall be maddened because of the sight which your eyes see. Yahweh strikes you in the knees and on the legs with evil boils of which you are unable to be healed, and from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. Yahweh brings you and the sovereign whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other mighty ones, wood and stone. Thus you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a mockery among all the peoples to which Yahweh drives you. You take much seed out into the field, but gather little in, for the locust consumes it. You plant vineyards and shall labor, but neither drink of the wine nor gather, for the worm eats it. You have olive trees in your border, but do not anoint with oil, for your olives drop off. You bring forth sons and daughters, but they are not with you, for they go into captivity. Locusts possess all your trees and the fruit of your ground. The sojourner who is among you rises higher and higher above you, but you come down lower and lower. He lends to you, but you do not lend to him. He is the head, and you are the tail. And all these curses shall come upon you, and they shall pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard his commands and his laws which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and on your seed forever, because you did not serve Yahweh your Elohim with joy and gladness of heart for all the plenty. You shall serve your enemies whom Yahweh sends against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in need of all. And he shall put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you shall not understand. A fierce-looking nation which show no regard for the elderly, nor show favor to the young. And they shall eat the fruit of your livestock and the fruit of your land until you are destroyed. They leave you no grain, nor new wine, nor oil, nor the increase of your cattle, or the offspring of your flocks, until they have destroyed you. And they shall besiege you at all your gates till your high and fenced walls, in which you are trusting, come down in all your land. And they shall besiege you at all your gates in all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and your daughters, whom Yahweh your Elohim has given you, in the siege and distress in which your enemies distress you. The man among you who is tender and who is very delicate, his eye is evil against his brother, against the wife of his bosom, and against the rest of his children whom he leaves behind. Against any giving of them the flesh of his children that he eats, because it is all that has been left to him in the siege and distress with which your enemy distresses you in all your gates. The tender and the delicate woman among you who has not tried to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and tenderness, her eye is evil against the husband of her bosom, and against her son, and against her daughter, and against her seed which comes out from between her feet, and her children whom she bears, for she eats them in secret for lack of all, in the siege and distress with which your enemy distresses you in all your gates. If you do not guard to do all the words of this Torah that are written in this book, to fear this esteemed and awesome name, Yahweh your Elohim, then Yahweh shall bring upon you and your descendants extraordinary plagues, great and lasting plagues, and grievous and lasting sicknesses. And he shall bring back on you all the diseases of Mitzrayim, of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this Torah, Yahweh does bring upon you until you are destroyed. And you shall be left with few men, although you had become as numerous as the stars of the heavens, because you did not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall be that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do good and increase you, so Yahweh does rejoice over you to destroy you and lay you waste, and you shall be plucked from off the land which you go to possess. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other mighty ones, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone. And among those nations you are to find no rest, nor have a resting place for the sole of your foot, but there Yahweh shall give you a trembling heart, and failing eyes, and sorrow of being. And your life shall be hanging in suspense before you, and you shall fear night and day, and not be certain of your life. In the morning you say, "Oh, that it were evening," and at the evening you say, "Oh, that it were morning," because of the fear of your heart with which you fear, and because of the sight with which your eyes see. And Yahweh shall bring you back to Mitzrayim in ships, by way of which I say to you, you are never to see it again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one to buy. So, keep the commands, follow the Torah, and everything will be awesome. But if you don't follow the commands and don't do the Torah, then everything will be a living hell. Chapter 29. These are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moshe to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, you yourselves saw all that Yahweh did before your eyes in the land of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land. Your eyes saw the great trials, the signs, and those great wonders. But Yahweh has not given you a heart to know and eyes to see and ears to hear till this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn out on your feet. You ate no bread and drank no wine nor strong drink, so that you might know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And when you came to this place, Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, came out against us to battle, and we struck them, and took their land, and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh. Therefore you shall guard the words of this covenant, and do them, so that you prosper in all that you do. All of you are standing today before Yahweh your Elohim, your leaders, your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel. Your little ones, your wives, and your sojourner who is in the midst of your camp, from one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you should enter into the covenant with Yahweh your Elohim and into his oath, which Yahweh your Elohim makes with you today, in order to establish you today as a people for himself, and he himself be your Elohim as he has spoken to you, and as he has sworn to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And not with you alone I am making this covenant and this oath, but with him who stands here with us today before Yahweh our Elohim, as well as with him who is not here with us today. For you know how we dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and how we passed through the nations which you passed through. And you saw their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were with them. Lest there should be among you a man or woman or clan or tribe whose heart turns away today from Yahweh our Elohim, to go and serve the mighty ones of these nations, lest there should be among you a root bearing bitterness or wormwood. And it shall be, when he hears the words of this curse, that he should bless himself in his heart, saying, I have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. In order to add drunkenness to thirst, Yahweh would not forgive him, but rather the displeasure of Yahweh, and his jealousy shall burn against the man, and every curse that is written in this book shall settle on him. And Yahweh shall blot out his name from under the heavens. And Yahweh shall separate him for evil out of the tribe of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in the book of the Torah. And the generation to come of your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a far land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sickness which Yahweh has sent into it, all its land is sulfur, salt, and burning. It is not sown, nor does it bear, nor does any grass grow there, like the overthrow of Sodom and Amorah, Admah and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his displeasure and his wrath. And all nations shall say, why has Yahweh done so to this land? What does the heart of this great displeasure mean? And it shall be said, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh, Elohim of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. And they went and served other mighty ones, and bowed themselves to them, mighty ones they did not know, and that he had not given to them. Therefore the displeasure of Yahweh burned against this land, and to bring on it every curse that is written in this book. And Yahweh uprooted them from their land in displeasure and in wrath and in great rage, and cast them into another land, as it is today. The secret matters belong to Yahweh our Elohim, but what is revealed belongs to us and to our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. Chapter 30. And it shall be, when all these words came upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the nations where Yahweh your Elohim drives you, and shall turn back to Yahweh your Elohim and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your being, you and your children. Then Yahweh your Elohim shall turn back your captivity, and shall have compassion on you, and he shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where Yahweh your Elohim has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the farthest parts under the heavens, from there Yahweh your Elohim does gather you, and from there he does take you. And Yahweh your Elohim shall bring you to the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he shall do good to you and increase you more than your fathers. And Yahweh your Elohim shall circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being, so that you might live. And Yahweh your Elohim shall put all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, who persecute you. And you shall turn back and obey the voice of Yahweh and do all his commands which I command you today. And Yahweh your Elohim shall make you have excess in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground for good. For Yahweh turns back to rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers, if you obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard his commands and his laws which are written in the book of the Torah. If you turn back to Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being. For this command which I am commanding you today, it is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. It is not in the heavens to say, who shall ascend into the heavens for us, and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it, so that we do it. For the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, and death and evil, in that I am commanding you today to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways and to guard his commands and his laws and his right rulings. And you shall live and increase, and Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in the land which you go to possess. But if your heart turns away and you do not obey, and shall be drawn away, and shall bow down to other mighty ones and serve them, I have declared to you today that you shall certainly perish, and you shall not prolong your days in the land which you are passing over the Jordan to enter and possess. I have called the heavens and the earth as witnesses today against you. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore you shall choose life, so that you live, both you and your seed, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to obey his voice, and to cling to him. For he is your life and the length of your days, to dwell in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. So, we finish the final warning. Follow the laws, you get blessed. Don't follow the laws, you get cursed. However, when you're cursed and spread out through all the nations, and most of you have died, and everything is horrible, if you come back and do the commands and follow Yahweh with all your heart and all your being, then you will be blessed again. Well, that is the end of the reading for today. I hope you enjoyed and hope you're following along. Join us again next Saturday as we continue, and may the Father bless you. Shalom.